So welcome to Black Girls Do Engineer Corporation. We are a nonprofit organization in Houston, Texas. We are hosting webinars like this from our board. I would say we're STEM professionals, and we feel that this is something that's very beneficial to students who are in high school and going into college. Even in our adult careers, this is still beneficial to us. So what we wanted to do was to share some of our knowledge with you all. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it. So a little bit about our organization. So me, I'm Cara Branch. I'm the founder and CEO of the organization. My background, I'm a chemical engineer by degree. So it's one of my degrees. So I'm actually started this mission to go ahead and increase, my goal is to increase the number of girls involved in STEM and also help people that are in the STEM industry maintain in the industry. So my way of doing that in the community is going into the community and giving back everything that I've learned in my career to gain the interest of young girls, also to help them on their journey as they're in college, to landing the jobs that they may want to land, to get their resumes where it needs to be, to give them the opportunity that they need to be successful in their careers. So this is our mission. It's pretty much we just want to develop women in all areas of STEM. We focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics as a whole, and we offer a lot of great services. So that's a little bit about our organization. So let's get into what our discussion will be about today. I have a little video that I would like for you all to watch that I think is kind of interesting about what elevator speeches are. So hopefully you all were able to hear, but if you wasn't able to hear, so a little bit of,
so let's talk about
sorry, one second.
old versus new way to launch your online course. So the first thing I want you to know is that your launch is not personal.
Okay. So hopefully you were able to hear, but if you wasn't, it went through a couple of different scenarios of the right and wrong ways to do an elevator speech. And what was interesting at the and so they happened to be in the elevator with the CEO of the company. One was on the cell phone, not really paying attention to the fact that he was in the elevator with the CEO. Two didn't even know how to approach the CEO to even start a conversation. And then the last young lady, she was prepared, which ended up landing her a spot to go have lunch with the CEO. This happens so often. I'll actually share a story of one of my friends who actually this happened to. She was in the elevator with our VP of our company, and it was a late evening, and he said to her, he was asking her how was her day, and all she kept responding was, I've been working, I'm busy. He asked her, was she able to catch any football? And she kept saying, I'm working, I've been working, I'm busy. Not realizing that she was actually talking to the vice president of the company. So it's very important to understand who is the leaders in your company, or wherever you land or wherever you are, because you never know when you might actually engage them in the elevator. So that just gives a little video to show what elevator speeches are. They don't always happen in the elevator. That's just how they show them. They can happen anywhere. So let's just get into what actually an elevator speech is. So from here, elevator speech is a persuasive speech. It sparks interest about you. So it's pretty much a 30-second, 45-second pitch about who you are. You're pretty much selling yourself. That's a big thing in any industry these days, branding yourself, selling yourself. You're letting people know who you are. So that gives a little background of what that is. And why is this important? You may ask, why is this even important? And so I wanted to provide some feedback on why I think it is. So it starts a conversation for one. So like in the video, there was pure quiet in the elevator. So you're able to get that conversation started, because this is a way to network, and networking is very important. You can network anywhere. It doesn't have to just be at work. So you don't know who you would meet anywhere, any location. So it's best to just be prepared so you are able to start that conversation. It also gives you the option to entertain your audience. So you want to be able to have something that you say about yourself that they can relate to, or try to find ways to relate in the conversation so that you can keep them entertained and engaged in what you're saying. It also helps you, when you're prepared, it helps you organize your thoughts. So if you take the time to write this 30-second pitch about yourself, and you work it in a way where it works for you in any type of conversation, it actually helps you be organized in your head where you're prepared to have that discussion. It brands you. So branding is a really big thing. When I started my career, we wasn't really thinking of it as branding yourself, but now as social media and everything has happened, branding has become a very crucial part in you as a person. So this is a way that you brand yourself to whoever you encounter during that networking time. And also helps you build a person-to-person relationship, which is very important. A lot of things are done via social media these days. So we're not really doing a lot of that person-to-person interaction anymore. So I really believe person-to-person is very, very, very important to this day. So this is a way to give you that interaction. And also closes the deal. You never know who you're going to meet. So if you're in an elevator or anywhere in the world, in your career or just in college, you never know what this person can offer you by you just saying who you are or pitching yourself to this person. It can actually potentially land you a possible employment with a company or maybe an internship. So this is why elevator speech is important. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to prepare your 30-second elevator speech. So how to create a concise, meaningful 30-second elevator speech based on your personal ambitions and speech based on your personal specialties that state what you are committed to bring for others. So I listed some questions. These are questions that you need to kind of ask yourself when you're writing your elevator speech. So like for this, for example, how will you make a difference at work and in a relationship? This is something you want to ask yourself. What do you love most about what you do? What do you want people to think of when they think of you and your brand? What is the benefit that you provide to your team and your customers? What are the challenges that you are facing? How can people in your network or outside help support yours? So this is very important. I normally think for myself, my elevator speech is normally, I use it when I'm in interviews sometimes and they ask me to tell them about myself. That's the time that I use to really highlight these things within my 30 seconds. I didn't think at first, you know, a lot of times you say to yourself, oh, I can just talk about myself and go out there. I highly encourage you to write it down and have that conversation, because what I've learned when I prepare and write things down, then it actually works better in my favor. So it actually helps me land or secure anything that I pursue, whether it's networking, the job interview, better than me just going off the top of my head saying these things. Because the thing that you don't want to happen, you don't want to miss an important factor about yourself. So if you don't write it down and prepare it, you have that option to miss that important factor about yourself is going to happen. So I really encourage you to write it down and think about these questions and how they pertain to you, to be able to go in and meet someone or go into a room and land whatever you're hoping for or what you desire at that moment. So I wanted to do a couple of examples. I know people like examples. So I wanted to lay out a few examples of some elevator speeches. So I found two that I liked, and this is the first one that I'm going to read. So it says, I'm an information system specialist focusing on the applications of technology to business functions in the area of marketing, sales, manufacturing, logistics, and accounting. My field of experience is diverse. I have worked with a Fortune 500 firm, as well as a small entrepreneurial business. My strengths include data administration, strategic planning, data warehousing, and relational database design, development, and implementation. I think that's awesome. It's a lot because this person has done a lot. But what I liked about this speech is that they list the areas that they actually worked in. They talked about their experience in the field with whoever they may have worked with, saying that it's diverse. They mentioned a Fortune 500 company they actually worked with as well, which is great to highlight. They also included their strengths, which I think is very important because you want people to know what you're skilled in. So this here is a wonderful example. Let's see, I have a question here. So, good question. So I have a question here from Evan I want to touch and answer now. So it said, would your elevator speech also be considered a sales pitch? I would say so, because it can work either way. And I say that because I transitioned more into a business side of my career. And so you can use it either way. I would say, yes, it is a sales pitch as well. It goes with the whole thing of branding yourself. And I think when you're branding yourself, you're pretty much selling yourself or whatever product, whatever you have to someone. So yes. So another one I wanted to look at. So this one is, I am a senior corporate officer with extensive expertise and operational responsibility, including P&L, strategic planning, and financial management. I have been particularly effective in increasing profitability, growing revenue, and managing costs. My organization showed solid incremental gains and market shares and still maintain operational efficiency. One of my strengths is building management teams that value cross-functional working relationships. So this one I really like because they're talking about all their skills, they're talking about what they've executed in their career as well as their strengths. For me, that is the key things to selling yourself to someone. Because you got to remember, these people don't know you at all. All they know is your face at this moment. So for you to engage in this person and tell them, hey, you know, I've worked in this industry. I've excelled at performing this task. These were the outcomes of that task. As far as like a number, I'm a numbers person, I'm technical, so I like to talk numbers. And these were my strengths as I was doing that task. So those are key things. I think if you can tell those 4 elements to anyone, that really is going to set you apart. So I kind of went through the elevator speech thing real fast. So I'm going to allow you all to, if you have any questions, to ask me some questions about it before we get into one page. From my experience, elevator speeches they can be scary if it's your first time doing one, you know, especially when you get into an environment where you're talking to executive leaders or maybe an owner of a company, or sometimes even just your college professors. I mean, if you're shy, you know, that can be even scary sometimes. So that's why I highly suggest you write it down, you prepare it. So when you come to those moments, it'll just be ready and available in your head to be organized, and then you'll be able to just excel at it and do well. So if we don't have any questions, I want to get into one page, which I think this part I really enjoy, because in my career, I was thinking to myself, what is a one page, or one pager sometimes is what it's called. For me, I just always had a resume. I never really thought about creating a one page for myself. So this is actually something new for me. I'm actually getting into it and understanding it. I wanted to be able to present in a webinar, to be able to help everyone else understand, to see the advantages of actually having a one page. So what is a one pager? So a one pager is used to market yourself or business. A one pager describes what you can offer future employers and how you stand out from others in the job market, which is really interesting. As we get into it and show some examples, I'd be really curious to hear you all's input, because for me, it kind of steps outside of the traditional resume. So why is it important? So it captures interest about yourself, and it also is recommended for candidates with a few years of work experience. So if you're getting into the industry or just starting your career, this may be the best option for you. If you have probably more than 10 years of experience, maybe not so much. A lot of times, I know when I do recruiting, a one-page resume for me was easier on the eye. That way you can maneuver through it, get the key elements you need out of it, versus, you know, someone who has 10 years of experience, you have so much more to put down. So maybe a one-pager is not for you, but it is a good marketing tool, I think, if you're just starting your career. So we talked about, you know, the difference, well, what a resume is, that's what I'm used to, and what a one-pager is. So I wanted to tell you all what's the difference. I mean, I think that's very important. So a resume is usually traditional. It's a traditional document. People have used the resume for years, and I'm sure they're going to be using them for more years to come. A one-pager is it's new. It's a new concept. It focuses, resume, it focuses on the job seeker, whereas the one-pager focuses on the employer. A resume records the past, where a one-pager looks into the future. A resume is more broad, where your one-pager is more targeted. And once we get into some examples, you'll be able to see what is the difference between a one pager and your traditional resume. So here's one example. So this is a one pager here. And what I liked about this, so it lists your key experiences and your accomplishments, which is on your resume, you would normally list your work experience. It also gives your strengths, your top 4 strengths, and your career interests, which is amazing. Where here, it also, you put your picture on it. I've never put my picture on a resume. Some people may do it. I just never have. And it highlights your education, and it tells, if you want to relocate, and your background information, which you will find is most likely on the top of a resume. However, the way it's actually presented, the layout of your one pager is very different. Like we mentioned earlier, it focuses on you. For me, it highlights your career journey, where you're trying to go. And I think that's important. A lot of times with your resume, you said, I've done this, I've done that, and this, but this is showing, hey, this is where I want to go. And I think it's actually better to lay it out when you're pitching it off at the beginning, that you want to go somewhere, because a lot of times when you get into these industries or you're working your career, you try to debate a lot with yourself on how you're going to get to the next thing. So using a one pager saying, hey, I've been there and this is where I'm going. And so here it lists the accomplishments that you had in your career, your experiences. It also lists your top 4 strengths. So you pick your top 4 and list them, and then what your career interest is. So this one was a little, I thought it was really good. It can have a little more, but it targets what it needs to target. So let's get into the next one. Same thing here. So it gives a little bit more. This is one from example for someone with a technical background in IT, more software area. But same thing, willing to relocate. I think that's important. If you want to relocate and travel, yes, but you have the option to say, I want to relocate in the US and outside. So that's very important. Also gives your education again. What I liked about this one, it gave a little splash to it of who you are and how you can be contacted. So it gives a little bit more flair, more personality, allows you to be you on the paper, as well as highlighting yourself. So this was another good example. Give key points. I'm a numbers person. I know when a lot of times when I'm doing recruitment and people come in to talk to me, my goal is I want to see numbers. I want to see what you accomplished. I want to see what your targets were. Did you hit your targets? How much you saved the company? Those are key elements. And I think the one pager allows you to do that very well. It's pretty much a way to brand yourself and give yourself kudos. And there's nothing wrong with that. So here's another one. I thought this one was really cool. So getting into me, I'm still on my career journey, but I like the fact that it shows your journey of where you were. So this one highlights where you can put your picture in. You can talk about your name, what your current role is, where is your area of expertise that you work in. It also gives you a different design to it where you can talk about where you were and where you're trying to go. So you list like some of the things on your resume, like your company that you work for, your job title, and also going into each of those elements, you talk a little bit about what you did. But you still want to focus on your accomplishments and your key responsibilities. And then you kind of say, this is where you are. However, you can give a little flair to it to say that you are willing to travel, that you have citizenship, and give a little bit about you, what your languages are. If you speak a lot of languages, this is the time to highlight that. What your hobbies are, what you like to do. Those are important. I've been asked in interviews, what are my hobbies? And this is a time to talk about it, what you like to do. If you like to spend time with your family, if you like to go walk the park, or whatever you may like to do, this is the time to highlight that. Also give quotes. Quotes are really, people like quotes. I know from working in the industry, people love to put quotes on their emails, and there's nothing wrong with putting a wonderful quote here. So these are some of the things you can list. Certainly list your education. If you are currently pursuing your degree, make sure you put that you're currently working on it. But this is to give you, to the employer, this is your journey. This is where you're trying to go. So I talked fast. I mean, that's just me. I just talk a little fast. But I wanted to spend more time on questions, not so much me talking, but pretty much to see what you thought, what are your thoughts, what questions you would like to answer, anything that I can help you with. And if you have any questions, just put them in the Q&A box, or you can put them in the chat box, and I'll browse through and ask. But for me, I mean, these are very key steps. My goal with this organization is always to introduce the students that's in this organization. We work with girls from age 9 to 21. And it's pretty much to take what I've learned in my career as I'm continuing my career, or things that I wish I would have knew, and build them to know it, to understand it. So when they go out into the future, that they're prepared. So that's why we take the time to do these webinars and do events and camps and everything, just so we can pretty much give what we know as STEM professionals back into our community. So this was important to do, because today it's a lot of people, that's how a lot of people get opportunity, is through networking, and mostly networking comes through these elevator speeches. And you have to know how, when you're going into a room to land a job or whatever it may be, to prepare a one-page or even a resume to make sure you're hitting the key elements to what that employer is looking for. But also you want to make sure that you're on track to be whatever you want to be as well, and that the employers understand that. So if you have no questions, it's really quick. So we don't have to use the full hour. I know everyone's busy. But if you want to learn more or even join our organization, so our organization is open for enrollment for next year. So if you want to join, donate, or even learn more about what we're doing here in Houston, you can always visit us on our website, www.blackgirlsdoengineer.org, where you can see who we are and what we're doing in the community as well. And that's pretty much all I had. I will stay here if you all have any questions. If not, enjoy your evening.